Hey everyone, Kevin from H-Town checking in with you on this late winter day. Huge story in the United States right now. Tucker versus the woke military. In case you missed it, this week in the United States, the U.S. military engaged in a war of words against conservative talk show host Tucker Carlson. Now, this war of words began after Mr. Carlson criticized the military for making a point of showing off flight suits specially designed for pregnant women. And this was mentioned and highlighted at a ceremony honoring two female generals. And Mr. Carlson essentially stated that while other militaries, specifically China and Russia, are busy focusing on masculinity and warfighting capabilities, it appears that the U.S. military is focusing more on woke politics and pandering instead. Carlson then went on to question the wisdom of sending pregnant women into combat zones, and then asked if the militaries of Russia and China and Middle Eastern countries are doing the same. Now, this was immediately followed by a Twitter firestorm. Several high-ranking officers of the United States military weighed in, with one of them personally attacking Carlson, calling him a boomer, even though Tucker is actually a member of Gen X, and saying that he didn't know what he was talking about, and until he serves in the military or gets pregnant, he has no right to voice his opinion. All this being said, by the way, using an official military and or Department of Defense Twitter account. And this was followed by an even greater firestorm with several members of the military using the straw man argument, saying that Tucker said women can't serve in the armed forces and that they weren't any good, which led to the very predictable intensification of the attacks against Carlson, with several female members of the military saying that they could kick Carlson's butt any day and that he was essentially a wimp. Tucker's response to this storm, very appropriate and very telling. He said that if the military gets this upset and out of sorts about the commentaries of a paunchy 50-something cable TV news talk show host, what are they going to do when they have to face a real threat? This is a great question, by the way, because the military's over-the-top response to the opinions of a talk show host only proved the talk show host opinions to be correct. A military that's confident in its own policies and its own priorities should not feel the need to fly off the handle when criticized by a talk show host. No, the appropriate response here would have been a very simple statement by the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, underscoring the military's support for women and pregnant women in uniform, and perhaps showing some statistics backing this policy stance up. And that would have been the end of it. It would have been a non-issue, and cable news would have moved on to the next story. Unfortunately, the military made two severe tactical errors here. Number one, they decided to get political. An unwritten rule for many, many members of the military is you keep your political opinions close to the vest. You certainly have the right to your opinion, but generally speaking, most members of the military I've interacted with tend to keep those opinions close to the vest. They don't broadcast them very loudly. And what happened here was the exact opposite of this. We had several high-ranking members of our armed forces decide to weigh in personally on a political issue. And by so doing, they made things much worse. The second tactical error the military made in this incident was to utilize straw man arguments in their response. Anyone who listens to or reads the transcripts of what Carlson was saying during his show can easily see that he never said anything about women not being able to serve in the military. That was never said. That was not the point he made. Yet the military's response was to pretend as if Tucker had said exactly that. And by using this tack, by using this particular method of response, this type of argument, it made the military look just as woke as Carlson had claimed them to be. Now, by the weekend, the armed forces, the military backed down on Twitter, admitted that they had overstepped their bounds, and said that they would do better next time. Unfortunately, though, the damage, at least in the short term, has been done. And it truly does underscore the point that Mr. Carlson was making on his political show, in that woke culture has seemingly infected every institution inside the United States, including the U.S. military. Now, where we go from here, who knows? Hopefully, the military does as they say they will do and return their focus to winning wars and protecting the United States instead of engaging in silly political debates. This is Kevin Newsom coming to you from H-Town, wishing you well, saying God bless each and every one of you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.